Home sweet home. Ow?
Ugh, finally. Where have you been? I've been standing behind this tree for weeks.
I was in Michigan, dude. Went to go visit my girlfriend.
But I thought you were gonna make a new video every week.
Yeah, that turned out well, didn't it? Wait a minute. Who are you?
You can't see anything. This is clearly a figment of your imagination.
So I imagine getting hit in the face with a DVD copy of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show Showdown in Brooklyn?
Yep.
Well, that certainly sounds like something I would imagine. Why don't you come on inside and we can watch these episodes together?
You're seriously going to trust a stranger on the street to just waltz on in and watch cartoons with you?
Most of the characters on my review show are cartoons anyway. So, this really doesn't seem that different to me.
Huh, you have a point. I mean, cartoons, real people, what's the difference?
I like you already, Mr. Head Guy.
I think I picked the wrong place.
Welcome back to the Summer of Mario, everybody. Today I'm here with YP, aka Yoshi Player.
Greetings, watchers! I'm sure some of you probably know who I am, the guy who creates cartoons for a living, even if it's as simple as stick figures.
We have feelings!
I never meant it like that, you idiot! Anyways, let's talk Mario.
Back in the 80s, Nintendo would put their characters on anything. Lunchboxes, bathing suits, breakfast cereals, you name it. But the straw that broke the Yoshi's back was when they allowed DiC Entertainment to produce an animated TV series based on the Super Mario Bros. Games.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And DiC made other shows too, like Captain N and the Sonic cartoons, but the Mario ones are probably the most infamous.
Were they bad? Kinda, sorta, maybe.
Yeah.
While they weren't as bad as some other video game adaptations, looking back at the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World just comes to show how lame and cheap they really are. I wasn't a kid in the 80s, but I grew up watching them on DVD. At the time, I didn't care about the quality of these cartoons because I would just blindly accept anything with Mario's face on it.
To be fair, I had no idea these shows even existed, but when you're a kid, you're bound to find something fun to watch. The first time I found out about these cartoons was when I went to a Blockbuster video store and spotted a volume of Super Mario World. At the time, my love for the Mario franchise, and especially Yoshi, was huge. Since I knew Mario World featured Yoshi in it, I couldn't hesitate to rent the DVD, having a strong feeling Yoshi would be in the show.
So that's why you're called Yoshi Player then?
What do you reckon?
Well, I always thought it was short for Hamato Yoshi from Ninja Turtles.
I don't even know who that is.
Anyway, if we're gonna get this over with, we might as well start with the Super Mario Bros. Super Show.
Hey, paisanos! It's the Super Mario Bros. Super Show!
I know, that's what I just said. Man, I can't even recall how many times I've seen this intro growing up. Every single second has been burned into my memory from watching this so much. I especially love the way live-action Mario and Luigi run across behind the ground near the end. Luigi doesn't even go completely off-screen. He just kind of stands there like he's looking for the director, as if he's thinking, should I keep running or are we gonna do it again? Hey, what are we having for lunch?
I would find this intro to be more tolerable if there wasn't a damn rap song to accompany it. The intro starts off with the classic Mario theme.
With the Mario Brothers!
Then it turns into a rap number. That's gonna date this intro decades after it's been out. Even if it already did seem dated at the time. I feel bad for anyone who actually knows the lyrics by heart and sings this to themselves when they're alone.
What are you looking at me for?
You know the lyrics by heart. I know it.
No, I don't. Yes, I do.
You poor unfortunate soul.
So if you're wondering why your weird uncles are dancing around dressed like the Mario Brothers, that's because every episode starts and ends with a live-action segment, with the actual cartoon portions sandwiched in between. The live-action portions focus on Mario and Luigi at home in Brooklyn. They're portrayed by their voice actors, Captain Lou Albano and Danny Wells, both of whom have sadly since passed away.
That's depressing.
Sad when anybody dies, really.
No, I'm sad because these good actors wasted their lives doing this show.
Well, at least they're the best part of it. These portions aren't of the highest quality by any means, but Danny Wells and Captain Lou are clearly having fun with it, and they both bring this oddly hypnotizing childlike energy to it.
Yeah, for me, the live action segments are the only good things about this show. It's not always done the best way, but I love the main actors, and every episode they do always makes me giggle, even a little bit. It's hard to explain how much it works, but I really enjoy these parts. It's just a shame there's only about 5 minutes of total live action in every episode.
Back on topic, the formula for these segments is pretty much all about Mario and Luigi getting into some wacky shenanigans! Sometimes there would be a guest star that comes to them hoping they'll solve a problem they're having. Maybe the guest star would help them with a problem of their own, or the guest star would be the cause of the problem. And for a cheaply produced kids show, they surprisingly got some pretty big names at the time. Ernie Hudson, Cyndi Lauper, Magic Johnson, Sergeant Slaughter, Dracula. Yeah, and even Inspector Gadget. Interestingly enough, the actor playing Inspector Gadget was famous voice actor Maurice LaMarche, who would go on to voice the character in a direct-to-DVD film called Inspector Gadget's Last Case: Claw's Revenge. Oh, and they were also friends with this thing called the Ratigator, a cartoonish combination of a rat and an alligator. Why? Because anything can happen in the sewers of New York. So, YP, are you ready to finally get into the cartoon itself?
Oh, this is gonna be painful.
Suffer! As the second rap-based intro sequence explains, Mario and Luigi were doing some plumbing until they got sucked into a warp zone and ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Now they have to help Princess Toadstool and her servant Toad, quite possibly the worst thing about this show, to foil all of King Koopa's totally depraved, evil, insidious schemes. The cartoon segments varied slightly in that they would follow different plot lines. Some episodes would have Princess Toadstool, and sometimes Toad, be held captive by Koopa, and Mario and Luigi would have to save them. Other episodes would have Koopa terrorizing a different land, either to take it over or steal something valuable, and then the gang would have to stop him and save the people of that land, occasionally with the help of a side character. And then there were episodes where the crew was lured into a trap set by Koopa, and the episode would involve them trying to escape, also occasionally with the help of a side character.
Side characters are even in the game the show is based on. Did you see all that stuff in the first intro? Flagpoles, smashing bricks, flying on those carpets from Mario 2? You know, all those traditional Mario elements? You barely get any of that in the actual show. For something called the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, there are surprisingly not many elements from the game. Just insert the Mario characters into the mix and you're good to go. Heck, I bet Nintendo barely had any input on the show to begin with.
From what I've researched, Nintendo actually did look through every script that was sent to them, and they wouldn't allow episodes to be made unless they said so.
So they said yes to this?
I mean, we do see them pick up vegetables and throw them at bad guys, and Koopa's army consists of bad guys from Mario 1 and 2, Koopa Troopas, Sniffets, Pidgeots, Bob-ombs, Albatosses, and even characters like Mouser and Triclide. Also, this was 1989, so there were only 2 mainline Mario games out at the time, with one recently released on the Game Boy while the show was finishing production, so there wasn't a whole lot for them to take from.
Yeah, I know, but isn't it annoying how much the creators had to cheat a little bit when it came to how things worked? There are no question blocks in the show, so fire flowers and starmen are usually found in places that are convenient for the plot and turn Mario and Luigi into their super forms. Starmen don't make them invincible though, they just act like fire flowers, and they also have to make wishes on the starmen, which is pointless and really just comes off as an excuse to make the episode longer.
Starman, star bright. Give me Starman pasta power. Give me pasta might.
Oh, well, that's just stupid.
Mario and Luigi can become super in other plot convenient ways, casting magic spells on themselves, wearing magic necklaces, getting electrocuted, and being super gives them what they call pasta power. Okay, so does that mean eating pasta can make you super strong, let you throw fireballs, and fly like an overweight Italian bird? Sure, why not? And instead of losing their powers by taking damage, I guess it just wears off over time? Also, for whatever reason, this show loved doing parodies of famous movies. Star Koopa, Butch Mario and the Luigi Kid, Toad Warrior, On Her Majesty's Sewer Service, 20,000 Koopas Under the Sea. Not very creative, is it?
Yeah, not particularly. Plus, when the episodes were originally broadcast, there were parts that featured covers of famous songs like Beat It and Heard It Through the Grapevine. I have no idea why this was done. Was it because they were popular at the time? Well, maybe all the money went into licensing the songs, because this animation is really bad. The designs and the character proportions are so inconsistent that I wouldn't be surprised if the team from Steven Universe didn't have a hand at animating this. Oh snap, people are gonna hate me for that, and some are probably gonna agree with me. And out of all the Mario cartoons, this one is the worst when it comes to animation errors. I've seen instances of a character's mouth moving along with dialogue from another character who's off screen.
Not just really great, Sonny.
There's an episode where Luigi's hat turns red and Mario speaks in Luigi's voice and calls Luigi Mario.
Good thing we used the extra pipe for this Koopa catcher, huh, Mario?
One time I saw Princess Toadstool's nose disappear.
Koopa, your rap's rotten, just like you!
But my absolute favorite comes from the episode Quest for Pizza. It's during the scene where the gang meets a character named Muggers the Medicine Woman. Luigi has a line here, but watch what happens.
What's that about mashed potatoes?
Now that's not even close. If it was Mario's voice, I could look past it since he and Luigi have very similar designs, so I can understand how animators can get them mixed up. How did they screw up this badly? Luigi and the princess aren't even the same gender. And I swear, I did not edit this clip in any way whatsoever. That's actually how it plays out. But we've talked about the show enough already. Let's get into some actual episodes.
We've both picked one episode each to focus on what we feel showcases the worst aspects of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show.
That's right. So, which episode did you pick, YP?
Raiders of the Lost Mushroom.
Raiders of the Lost... What? Are you sure that's not like some kind of bad fan fiction or something?
Nope, it's real, and we're going to witness how tedious it is. So, the story of this episode revolves around the Mario Brothers trying to find a lost mushroom before Bowser gets to it first. And yes, I know the characters refer to him as King Koopa, but when you've played Mario games for as long as I have, the name just sticks with you. The group are in a hot air balloon for some reason, and a giant bird swoops in and pops it, sending them crashing into a jungle.
Wahoo! That was more fun than getting flushed down a sewer!
I don't want to know where you've been, but oh no, they're stuck in quicksand. I wonder if they're going to make it. Well, thankfully they're saved by a guy named Indiana Joe. Get it? It's like Indiana Jones, except without the N and S. That's kind of the writing you're getting out of the show. But the shocking part about this character is that he doesn't have a face. Why? Were the animators lazy, or is there an actual explanation? Apparently the reason this was done was because the writers wanted to reference the scene in the first Indiana Jones movie where the characters' faces are burnt off. But come on, what kind of lazy excuse is that? How can he talk? How can he see? How can he smell? How can he function as a human being?
Well, would you rather he look something like this?
On second thought, maybe he doesn't need a face. So Indiana Faceless here tells them that Bowser's looking for
the Temple of Koopa.
Temple of Koopa? So is he going to follow the Mario Brothers around until they make it there? Bowser said it was built by his great-great-grandfather, so shouldn't he know where it is? Whatever, I shouldn't be reading so deep into this. It's the Super Mario Bros. Super Show anyway. But Indiana Joe decides he doesn't want to go in because of his Koopaphobia? You've got to be kidding me. There is no goddamn way a thing like Koopaphobia can actually exist.
Sure it does. If you're referring to the Koopa costume from King Koopa's cool cartoons.
Wait, that was a thing?
Yeah, it was like this thing where kids could call in and request different Super Show episodes to watch or something. I don't remember.
Well, it can't be that scary, can it? I take back everything I said about Koopaphobia.
Is it gone?
Mercifully, yes.
Go back to the episode in case it comes back.
Anyway, so the group decide to head into the Temple of Koopa in order to retrieve the lost mushroom. After they manage to avoid several booby traps, they manage to find what they're looking for, but they fall through a trap door and back outside where King Koopa is waiting.
Oh, so you're calling him King Koopa now?
Shut up, I made a typo on the script. And besides, he gives himself different aliases all the freaking time.
We did it! We beat old Koopa Stoopa to the lost mushroom! Don't be so sure!
Wow, that was way too easy. Mario, you could have done what you do best and run, but nope, let's just stand around and watch. Gotta drag on as long as possible so we can get to the TV appropriate length. Bowser ends up putting the group in a cage where a ferocious lion comes in to try and eat them. Mario uses Luigi's plumber snake to fend off the lion, who frees them by breaking through the window and seemingly committing suicide. I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but the lion jumped right through the door, out of the tall tree. That lion is dead. So Bowser creates a castle made out of gold. I think it's safe to assume he's overcompensating for something. While Mario and the gang try to find Indiana Joe, who's taken on the job of babysitting, and then he quickly drops it to help them stop Koopa. Wow, he certainly got over his Koopaphobia pretty quickly there, didn't he? Wait, look here! You can clearly see them avoiding the bullets from the snakes. They could have easily done that before when they were surrendered to Koopa in the first place. Stuff like this just doesn't add dramatic tension or build suspense. It's just pointless filler. Through a whole bunch of yada yada yada, Bowser is defeated and easily escapes through a magical door. That's literally how a good majority of these episodes end, with just Mario and the gang watching him get away without doing anything about it. So the lost mushroom is retrieved, and like several other episodes, we end on Mario making some kind of food-related joke.
Me and this lost mushroom are gonna get along just fine.
Oh man, this episode is such a drag. Everything about it is ridiculously slow. It takes forever for things to actually go anywhere, and very little of it makes sense. The significance of the lost mushroom is underplayed. The gang's motivation for wanting it is nothing more than, oh, Koopa wants it, we have to get it first. And most importantly, Indiana Joe doesn't have a face. How is everyone just so okay with this? If I fell asleep on a pile of nails while drowning, I think it'd be more enjoyable than sitting through any more scenes of Koopa's stupid minions.
Jeez, boss, that's stealing. Yeah. That's right.
Maybe at this point I shouldn't expect anything good out of any minion characters in general.
I stopped after Despicable Me too.
Well, I'm done.
Good, so I guess it's my turn then. Hey YP, remember how much you loved that rap song in the opening?
I didn't.
Exactly. Here's a whole episode about it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Bad rap. The word bad could not have been used more appropriately. Raiders of the Lost Mushroom might have been slow, but at least the characters weren't trying to rap throughout the whole thing. Seriously, this whole episode is done in rap, which I put in massive quotes because all they do is rhyme. And some of these rhymes are incredibly forced and painful, especially when they try to rhyme words with noises and stuttering.
Your Royal Koopiness,
I know, those faucet freaks got away. Troopers, let's split and mount an attack. Oh, that hurt. Ow, ah.
But here's what's up. King Koopa invades this place called Rapland, holds their ruler hostage, and hypnotizes all the people into giving him their money. Wow, we're not even at the 1 minute mark, and I already have too many questions. Why does the Mushroom Kingdom have a rap land? How is Koopa able to hypnotize everyone into giving him their money? And why doesn't it work on Mario and the others? Is it because they don't come from here? And why does Koopa want all this money anyway? How is this guy floating across the screen? And who forgot to fill this part in with black?
No more questions.
Screw you, Robin, I have several questions. But I'll try to calm down a bit. The princess dresses up like one of Hammerman's backup singers and tries to sneak into the castle with Toad hiding in a bag of gold. Personally, I think it would make more sense to just stuff Toad into someone else's money bag so that the princess doesn't get captured. Like that.
Yo, something tells me our plan's not right.
See, Luigi knows what's up. So when the princess is taken away, she's seated on a spinning record player death trap with Rapland's ruler, King James. And here's something I always found weird. If he's supposed to be the king of Rapland, why is he modeled after James Brown? Isn't that like making a character named Mr. Totally Not Pretentious Filmmaker and basing him off of Baz Luhrmann?
Wow, you're just throwing a whole bunch of shade, aren't you? First the Steven Universe joke, and now that.
I said it once and I'll say it again, Mario brings the best and the worst out of me. Oh, I forgot to mention the obligatory side characters for this episode. Meet the Flab Boys. I don't know anything about them because the episode doesn't really tell us anything about them. Maybe they're supposed to be King James's bodyguards since he knows who they are and is aware of their helpfulness. Although they don't really do much here except run around and dance like they have a wedgie. They're not even the ones that rescue the princess and the king, it's Toad. Oh, and I guess they managed to escape without getting caught.
Rapland's still not safe from that Koopa thug. We gotta cut his power. Pull the royal plug.
Seriously? Koopa gets his power from a giant cord plugged into a giant outlet? Or is it Rapland's main power source? Is it just supplying power to the castle, or is it powering the whole city? Either way, it's impractical. So Mario tries to pull it out and gets electrocuted in the process, but somehow it causes him to become super. Once he literally pulls the plug on Koopa's plan, possibly leaving the entirety of Rapland without power, they regroup somewhere else and prepare for battle.
Wait, Mario, you forgot your spaghetti!
He didn't even have any spaghetti at all until this point. Oh, look, here comes Koopa. Oh, wee-yo. After an extremely underwhelming fight that makes the cabinet battles from Hamilton look like an episode of Siskel and Ebert, guest hosted by a rock and the corpse of an unpaid intern, Koopa gives up and escapes in another warp zone. Everybody celebrates by awkwardly dancing to the show's theme song, with Mario looking like he's chafing in his overalls and doing... I really don't know what that was. And he becomes the new king of Rapland, I guess? Who cares? It's over, thank God. Bad rap is just painful. If the convoluted setup or lack of any focus or charm won't get on your nerves, the straight up terrible rhyming will, and it never stops.
And the rest of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show isn't any better. Now can we please move on to something good?
Not yet. There's still one more thing left to mention.
Wait a minute. What the heck is this? A Legend of Zelda cartoon? I thought we were talking about Mario shows.
We are, but here's the thing. The Super Show aired on weekdays, and while the Mario cartoons aired as the animated segments from Monday to Thursday, on Fridays they would air the Zelda cartoon instead, just in case one bad cartoon based on a classic Nintendo game wasn't enough. Truth be told, I've never seen a single episode of this show, but I really don't want to.
Well, excuse me, princess.
And hopefully you can understand why.
Alright, let's just get to the next show already. The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 premiered just a year later to tie in with the release of Super Mario Bros. 3. The intro is as follows.
It is a legend no one will forget. Everyone thought King Koopa had left the Mushroom Kingdom, and then his doom ship attacked. King Koopa was back with the greatest danger ever known, his Koopa Kids. Using their new superpowers, the Super Mario Brothers rescued Princess Toadstool and beat back the evil Koopa family.
Jeez, is there anything about these cartoons you don't have memorized?
Of course there is. What kind of man do you take me for?
Unlike the previous show, this one did not feature any live action segments and was instead turned into a 22-minute show that featured two 11-minute segments. Almost the entire voice cast was replaced, with the exception of John Stocco, the voice of Toad, sadly, and Harvey Atkin, the voice of King Koopa. Mario was voiced by Walker Boone, Luigi was voiced by the late Tony Rosato, who's a former Saturday Night Live cast member, and Princess Toadstool was voiced by Tracy Moore, who also voiced Alice in the Care Bears in Wonderland movie, and Sailor Moon in the first English dub of the Sailor Moon anime. But we're getting off topic here. The show introduced the Koopalings, and for some strange reason all of their names were changed in the show. This was possibly due to the fact that the characters were not yet named in the video game, as it was still in production at the time the show was produced. Either that, or they just picked their names based on their personalities. Examples include Roy's name being changed to Bully, Ludwig is now called Kooky, Wendy is called Cootie Pie, and Lemmy and Iggy are called Hip and Hop.
In Kinderford, we mess up this heist, or Pop's gonna have to eat his words.
That's also a young Tara Strong providing their voices, and Tabitha St. Germain is voicing Cootie Pie as well. Both of these women would later work together on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic as the voices of Twilight Sparkle and Rarity, respectively. And you know what's funny? In the Super Show, Mario's voice was higher and Luigi's voice was lower, which is how it is in the games now too.
Now all we need is fuel, supplies, food, and more food.
Fat chance we'll find any on this deserted planet.
In this show, it's Mario's voice that's lower and Luigi's voice that's higher.
Well, I did, kinda. Besides, Luigi and I can fix it.
But we gotta find them fast. Those giant ninja Koopas will be here any minute.
As I brought up in my original Super Mario Bros. 3 video, this cartoon was the only thing related to the game that I was aware of growing up. My first exposure to it was through a DVD that had the first episode on it, plus an episode of the Heathcliff cartoon. I think I got it in a cereal box or something, but later I got the whole series on DVD. Twice, since I practically ruined the original discs. It's not particularly long, as only 26 episodes were made compared to the Super Show's whopping 52, 65 if we include the Zelda episodes. Earlier I said that the Mario cartoons in general were pretty lame and cheaply made, but looking back on the adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, it's actually kind of decent. In fact, I think it's probably the best out of all the shows. The writing got a significant upgrade from the Super Show, as it seems to focus more on telling interesting stories than giving us constant pasta puns and lazily getting the characters out of danger. Some episodes had the gang getting the Mushroom People or even themselves out of trouble in the Mushroom Kingdom, and others even had them going on adventures in the real world. Also, Princess Toadstool doesn't get captured that much in this series. Sometimes she even ends up saving the day herself. That's pretty refreshing.
Yeah, I've gotta say, the Mario 3 cartoon is a lot better than the previous show, but it's not without its flaws. The licensed song covers from the Super Show have now been replaced with original songs performed by a group of actors who I guess are trying to sound like the Koopalings, even when these songs play during scenes that don't involve the Koopalings in any way. And while we're talking about music, there's an episode about Milli Vanilli, because that won't be dated at all, and good lord their voice acting is hilarious, and not for the right reasons.
1 and a 2 and a...
No!
We're nerds!
We're dweebs!
This is terrible!
Accountants!
That is a good one! Ha 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 ha!
What a story, Mark.
As for the show's design and art direction, it seems much more focused than the Super Show. The Mushroom Kingdom remains mostly consistent throughout, and it's clear that a little more effort was put into the overall look of this cartoon compared to the previous one. But while there aren't as many animation errors as there were in the Super Show, some still managed to slip through the cracks. There's an instance in Sneaky, Lying, Cheating Giant Ninja Koopas, where Koopa's crown disappears in one shot and then reappears in the next, and later in that same episode, Luigi's green hat and overalls turn red.
There are more of those in this show, but this video is already long enough as it is, I'm assuming. So let's cover some specific episodes and move on.
I'll go first again. I know you said that there were some cool ideas for episodes, but the one I'm going to be talking about does not represent that. Here's... oh brother. The episode starts off with rain. Long, pouring rain. Kinda foreshadows what mess we're in for. Luigi keeps getting annoyed by Mario's music because he wants to read, so he decides to literally throw it into the fire and burn it. Afterwards, he starts picking on Mario despite causing the problem from the start. Honestly, this fight is so pathetic to the point that Mario wishes Luigi was never his brother. They don't even treat this seriously, and it happens so suddenly. Luigi leaves the house and Mario decides to go after him. Meanwhile, the rain from before turns out to be an invention made by Ludwig. Again, I'm calling these characters by their current names because the ones for this show are some of the worst names I've ever heard.
Even King Koopa? Because he's called that in Japan, you know.
I don't care. He and Bowser are using it to steal coins from the warp pipes, but when a pipe breaks, Bowser decides to kidnap one of the Mario brothers to get them to fix it. Back with the brothers, ex-brothers, Mario finds Luigi, who still bullies him despite the fact that he went looking for him to see if he's safe in the terrible weather. Afterwards, Ludwig pulls Mario into a warp pipe into Bowser's castle. This is where we lead to what is potentially a clever idea, but becomes a little dumb when you realize what it does. Ludwig has a brainwashing helmet that can make Mario do whatever they want him to do. Later on, Luigi arrives to save Mario, but of course, Mario is ordered by Bowser to attack him, so this ends up begging the question, wouldn't things be easier if Bowser kidnapped and hypnotized both of them? Then the princess and Toad would go looking for them, find the warp pipe, go inside and save them or something like that. It would have worked better than what we got here. Anyway, so the brainwashing helmet ends up on Ludwig's head and he's ordered to attack Bowser. The brothers go home and make up over their sibling quarrel. Or not, since Luigi bullies Mario again right before the episode ends. Overall, this is one of those episodes that has good ideas in it but just comes across as sloppy and lazy. Mario and Luigi fight over something so petty, like people in the comment section on a YouTube video. Mario wanted to listen to music that Luigi didn't like, and while the problem could have been easily fixed had Luigi gone into another room to read his book, he decides to make things unnecessarily complicated and burns the record. And speaking of Luigi, I just found him really unlikable in this episode. He's constantly getting on Mario's nerves, even when Mario is trying to find Luigi in the rain. And yeah, he saves Mario at the end, but he still teases and messes with him afterwards. I don't feel sympathetic for Luigi, I just want to punch him in the face. Bottom line, this isn't the worst siblings fighting episode I've seen. Other cartoons have done it far worse, but this just wasn't done in a very enjoyable way and makes you want to go,
Well then, I guess I'll have to talk about an episode that's actually good. Growing up, one episode that's always stood out to me was True Colors. What are some key phrases that come to mind when you think of the Mario franchise? Bright colors, dancing flowers, happy music, social commentary on the dangers of racism.
What?
Yeah, that's what this episode is about. But don't worry, it's not as heavy-handed or out of place as it might sound. The Mushroom People work together to prevent an attack from Koopa, who can't seem to get any sleep throughout this episode. When Cheatsy and Kooky notice how well they seem to get along, they come up with a plan to split them apart. They paint half of the citizens red and the other half of them blue, and they pit both sides against each other.
No respect! No respect!
Okay, I think your Rodney Dangerfield impression needs a little work there, buddy.
No respect. No respect.
So you think Mario and Luigi are gonna step in and resolve things, right? Actually, no, they become part of the problem as they're painted different colors as well. Cheatsy and Kooky get both the reds and blues to declare war on each other, and they figure that while the Mushroom People are busy destroying themselves, King Koopa can easily slip in and take over the kingdom. That's actually a pretty good plan. Princess Toadstool clearly has no control over her people, so basically Koopa's gonna come in and conquer everything while the Mushroom Kingdom is at its weakest. My only minor gripe with this episode is that we don't see Mario and Luigi become that influenced by the prejudice that builds up. They seem to be more in control and get over it really quickly. It might have been more interesting if Princess Toadstool goes to Koopa's castle, figures out what Cheatsy and Kooky are doing, and tells Mario and Luigi about it so that it could better make them realize what's happened to them. It's not something that completely ruins the episode, but it's just something that I think would have been a bit cooler to see. But anyway, once everyone gets on the battlefield, they start to wonder if this huge rumble is really the best way to settle things, as they could be hurting their friends and family. Then Mario and Luigi come in and tell them that the princess is trapped in a warp pipe, and everybody decides to go and help her. It's here when the Mushroom People finally realize that all their bickering was for nothing. All they could focus on was their different colors, but no matter how they look, they could still set aside their differences and fight for a common cause. True Colors is fascinating in the message it conveys and how it conveys it. It doesn't punch you in the face with its commentary, and while the racism parallels are blatantly obvious, they're actually incorporated into the story and used in a surprisingly clever way. It's especially much more effective nowadays, considering everything that's going on in the world today. This episode gives us a simple moral of don't judge a person by the color of their skin, and it's one that I think we can all learn from.
Think they'll ever learn that lesson in the real world?
Yeah, when humans get as smart as mushrooms.
And apparently we're still not to that point yet. Why pee?
Huh, what? Dashi? Huh?
Were you even listening?
Oh, sorry, I passed out after a while.
Well, now we have one more show left to talk about. The Super Mario World cartoon.
Phew, it's about time. Let's get to my boy already.
Fireballs, yum!
Oh my god, what have they done to you?
Isn't it obvious? They gave him a voice. More specifically, the voice of Andrew Sabiston, who also voiced Diddy Kong in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon.
Well, that explains how annoying he is.
He replaces Toad as the fourth of the main cast, and that's not the only change that Super Mario World brings to the table. While Toad may be gone, much to my relief, his voice actor John Stalker now voices another character made specifically for this series, a cave boy named Oogtar.
Phone fast. Oogtar on party line with bodacious babes.
He's not much better. The cave people in general have been introduced as the citizens of Dinosaur Land, which serves as our new main location. Most of the worlds that exist in the original game are included, such as the Star Road and the Forest of Illusion, which is now called the Enchanted Forest. Isn't that basically the same thing? A majority of enemies from the game are here too, but like how the Mario 3 cartoon changed the Koopalings' names and personalities, the Super Mario World cartoon gives these foes different names as well. For example, Monty Moles are called Gophers, Wigglers are called Caterpillars, Magic Koopas are called Koopa Wizards, and Chargin' Chucks are called Koopa Football Players. Very creative. The Koopalings were also given slight redesigns to match their sprites from the game, and yet Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, and King Koopa still look the same as they did in the last two shows.
The episodes were no longer broken into two segments like the Mario 3 cartoon, because the show was part of a block with Captain N, the Game Master, called Captain N and the New Super Mario World on NBC. As a result, only 13 episodes of Super Mario World were created. That's probably for the best because it continues with some traditions that were established in the last show. They still had songs for each episode, and they're probably the worst ones written for any of the Mario cartoons.
Well, they're not terrible, but certainly the least interesting. I don't find any of them very memorable, except for one. It's during the episode Gopher Bash, and it's the only real musical number in all the Mario shows. Cheatsy's just stolen all the crops from Luigi's harvest, and then he suddenly breaks into song and starts singing about how much of a cheater he is, with Monty Moles, Gophers, providing backup vocals. Then Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi start singing along, using the same operatic voices that the Gophers were using before.
There's something really rotten to be done. To be done. And Cheatsy's life becomes a worthwhile one. Worthwhile one.
Man, even by Mario standards, this is weird.
I suppose while we're talking about music, I should mention that the theme song for the show was written by Marc Lovallo, I don't know how to pronounce that, who also did the music for Rugrats, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and most recently, Thor Ragnarok.
Huh, that's pretty interesting. And you know what else I find interesting? Now that was a good segue. Some episodes of the Mario World cartoon would involve Mario, Luigi, or even Koopa in some instances, introducing the cavemen to modern concepts. Cars, television, phones, fast food restaurants, what have you. They're not always exciting to see, but I like how it sometimes results in a moral that pretty much comes down to maybe some people just aren't ready to comprehend these kinds of ideas. And there's even some more social commentary this time. True Colors was the only real instance of the Mario 3 cartoon having anything like this, but Super Mario World surprisingly has more to talk about. I've seen episodes that revolve around joining gangs, obesity, bullying in school, being addicted to TV. Most of these are still relevant today, and like in True Colors, they're mostly subtle in how they convey their morals. Some other shows might have tackled these subjects better, but I gotta give Super Mario World props for trying to address them.
Yeah, that's cool and all, but that's not why people still go back to it. Out of all the Mario cartoons, this one is probably the most infamous since episodes like the Yoshi Shuffle and Rock TV have gained cult followings online, particularly in YouTube poops, Mama Luigi especially. It was even given an animated collab led by animator Andrew Dickman. And my, is it strange.
I'm questioning my sanity the more I look at this. Let's just move on to the episodes.
Agreed. Oh boy, this episode. Probably the best example of the show's poor delivery of morals and stupid storytelling. Mario and Luigi are trying to build a sink in Peach's dome, but when they turn it on, it doesn't work. They discover that the water's not running because Yoshi is eating the pipes. That, and they don't seem to be connected to any sort of water system. You're plumbers, how could you miss that? Anyway, Mario and Luigi are understandably angry at Yoshi for ruining their hard work, but Yoshi tries to defend himself.
Oh, but I hungry! Bamboo good! Yoshi not know it plumbing?
You know what, I'll give Yoshi the benefit of the doubt since the pipes weren't even connected to a water source. Do these guys just have spaghetti for brains? Mario and Luigi tell Yoshi to be more cautious of his appetite, and instead of Yoshi learning to control himself, what does he do? He runs away. I'm not even joking. Yoshi runs away after being scolded, because if you can't accept and learn from your flaws, just run away from them. He ends up running into a group of bike-riding dinosaurs. How do motorcycles exist in this world? And Yoshi decides he wants to join them just to make some new friends. After they teach him how to do bad things, Yoshi suggests they talk to Mario and Luigi about their behavior. When he arrives back at Peach's dome, he tells Mario and Luigi to go meet them. But big shock, it's a trap! The dinosaurs are secretly working for Bowser in order to kidnap the Mario brothers. What he plans to do with them is never explained, but Yoshi decides to rescue them with Peach's help. Of course they do so and everyone is happy. And Yoshi is still stuck in his habit of eating whatever the heck he wants. Wow, he really learned a lot, didn't he? This episode tries to teach kids the dangers of joining a gang, but it doesn't do a very good job at it. What it basically tells you is that you should never be confronted about your habits, and joining gangs is okay, except it's not, but you should still keep with your habits. I know that's not what was intended, but that's what it ends up feeling like in the end. Plus, Mario and Luigi shouldn't have even gotten mad at Yoshi since they didn't even build their sink properly. Even if they did get everything right. All they did was tell Yoshi to stop eating their work, but apparently the episode treats it like if a parent abuses their child, especially when Peach tells them off for yelling at him.
You scolded him? He's just a baby, he doesn't know any better.
But that doesn't mean they shouldn't make him understand. Kids shouldn't be punished all the time, but if they do something wrong, they need to have the significance of their deeds explained to them or expressed in a way that makes them realize it's good or bad. Yoshi should have learned not to be so careless, and yet, even though he's portrayed like a kid, he still comes across as a giant idiot. Born to Ride shows the dangers of joining a gang in a somewhat decent way, but when it comes to helping kids understand how to confront their problems, it fails. This is, in my opinion, the worst episode of the entire show, and probably out of all the Mario cartoons combined.
Are you sure about that last one?
Smat boy, hey, hey, hey. What? Those blubber punks are headed this way?
Well, okay, maybe not the worst of all the shows, but certainly my least favorite from Super Mario World.
Well, that was pretty harsh. I'm going to take a more lighthearted look at the final episode of the series, and perhaps its most famous, Mama Luigi. It starts with Luigi putting Yoshi to bed, and Yoshi asks him to tell him a bedtime story, specifically the events of how they met and how he rescued Princess Toadstool. So the rest of the episode is told in flashback. We see Mario, Luigi, and the princess arriving in Dinosaur Land. They take a vacation here after having just banished King Koopa from the Mushroom Kingdom, just like in the game.
Who's mowing my lawn?
But suddenly, the princess is taken by Koopa football players. Wait, how come she couldn't see them earlier? Mario is chased off by a Magnum Bill, and Luigi falls through the ground after it splits under the weight of a fire sumo. It's actually kind of clever for them to be confronted by enemies that weren't in the previous show. That way, they wouldn't immediately know what they are and how to get past them. Anyway, Luigi falls down a chasm, and after a pea balloon turns him into something that I'm pretty sure exists as creepy drawings on DeviantArt. Let me just check here really quickly. Yep, I was right. He lands on a skull raft going down a river of lava.
Skulls? Skulls mean bad medicine.
Well, these skulls were good medicine for me.
Is he reacting to Yoshi from inside the story that he's currently telling? So the raft ends up going over a waterfall, sending Luigi falling down onto a platform. He bashes a few question blocks until a Yoshi egg pops out and hatches into a baby Yoshi, who immediately assumes that Luigi is his mother. As they try to find a way out, they're confronted by a couple of dinosaurs that threaten to eat them.
Mama Luigi! Mama Luigi!
Wait, how does he know Luigi's name? Never mind. They escape into a warp pipe that sends them into the ocean. After being chased by a horde of fish and a torpedo Ted, they make it to the surface by riding on a dolphin. While Luigi wrings out his cap, I guess it's wash and wear like Princess Toadstool's crown in the Mario 3 cartoon, Yoshi runs off and gets ambushed by caterpillars. Luigi tries to rescue him, but Yoshi ends up eating them, saving them both. Then Mario comes in, immediately gets swallowed and spit out by Yoshi, and tells them that the princess is being held captive in King Koopa's Coney Island Disco Palace. Okay. They go there and make it through all the tricks and traps waiting for them until they reach Koopa's throne room. Yoshi starts devouring things left and right, but when Koopa catches them, he immediately sends out a horde of Mecha Koopas to apprehend them. That doesn't work, however, because Yoshi's able to stop them by, what else? Eating them.
You didn't tell me you were bringing a secret weapon, Luigi.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario.
And thus a meme was born. So even though Koopa's pretty much defeated, he teases them with the key that leads to where the princess is being held, which Yoshi immediately snags with his tongue. This forces Koopa to flee from his own castle, and Yoshi spits the key at a keyhole, freeing Princess Toadstool and sending them back to Dome City. Probably. Yoshi falls asleep, Luigi tucks him in, and the episode ends. Mama Luigi is a pretty standard episode. Nothing outstanding, but nothing offensive either. Its legacy as a YouTube poop source, I'd say, is well-deserved, as it's great for material, and it's at least making people happy in more ways than one. And thus, Super Mario World was the last Mario cartoon to ever be made. There's been some OVAs made in Japan, but in terms of dedicated TV shows, that's it.
Nintendo's had their hand in bringing Kirby and F-Zero to TV in the form of Kirby Right Back At Ya and F-Zero GP Legend, but no new Mario show has come out in the past 27 years, and so the D cartoons are all we have now. Which is a bummer, because these aren't very good and don't really represent the franchise in a very faithful way.
Or more accurately, the franchise now. If shows like these were to come out now, after so many other games and spin-offs have hit the market, I would be extremely disappointed. But these are clearly just time capsules, artifacts of the late 80s and early 90s. There were only a few Mario games out, they tried some different things when it came to writing the shows, and the results varied between the three. The Super Mario Bros. Super Show is corny and ridiculous, The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 is more focused and faithful to the game it's based on, and Super Mario World is kind of a mix of the two. They're in no way pieces of high art whatsoever, but I consider them to be guilty pleasures in a way.
That's fair enough. I just hope we get a new Mario cartoon sometime soon. Like you said, there are so many other games and spin-offs out there, so maybe there's a ton of great characters, locations, and stories for a new cartoon to take advantage of. Maybe we can get something akin to Batman the Animated Series, a culmination of every possible version of Mario that manages to breathe new life into these characters, give us great stories with fantastic writing, and stand alone as its own unique iteration. I mean, hey, with Nintendo getting into theme parks and even potentially making their own movies in the near future, I don't see why it shouldn't happen.
Well, that just about does it for this video. Thanks for coming along for the ride, YP.
Thanks for having me. So, what do we do now?
Well, I guess we should end this video in the only way we can. Till next time, everybody, do the Mario!
What are you doing?
Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario.
I should have collaborated with Animat instead.
Together now. Come on now, just like that. Dick.
Treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Koopas and Troopers, the princess and the